you want to talk about 2015 goals, or do you want to look
I absolutely do. I'm set to roll out my goals.
Okay. Oh, let's do that then. Okay. Ed's excited.
Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Ed. You're excited. Go for it.
Okay, hold on. I got a little thing all prepped for this. Okay, 2 seconds.
I think they don't have to be super duper goals, but I think it's good to have some sort of vision as to what you want to accomplish in the year. It's at least something to shoot for, and if you don't make it, then you can always readjust. But it's good to have some kind of goal.
All right. So I've got a few goals, and the first few are all equal priority goals, but they sort of I've ordered them in the way that one leads to the other in a sense. My first goal for 2015, if you can see my screen,
yes,
is what I call SSK 2.0.
Okay.
So SSK has been around for a couple years now, and it's okay, but it really needs a repolish. And so the things it's getting this year are...
Hold on. So for the people who don't know what SSK is, it's a super starter kit.
Yes, a super starter kit for Corona, which it's a free toolkit of basically like my favorites collection, and it includes things like a complete button and slider library, a layering library, a collision calculator library. I mean, it's just if you can think of a utility that you need to do something quickly, it's probably in here. The whole thing weighs in at about 400K if you load the whole thing into your app. So you're going to pay a small penalty of 400K of memory. But, and I'll go into this in the documentation, which is part of this goal, but I think it's worth it. For me, I use it all the time. I mean, I constantly use it. I can't even get by with I can't remember half the time how to do things with what I call, not raw, but
original.
Just standard Corona. Like, for example, I have SSK comes with builders for the different rectangles and circles and stuff. And all in one line, you can specify the color, the position, the stroke. You can add a body. You can attach certain functionality, etc., etc. So one line of code versus, say, like 20. So yes, it may be a multi-line line of code, but it's all extremely straightforward, named parameters, easy to understand. So SSK 2.0, as I was saying, is it's getting an upgrade in terms of features, polish. I'm going to make sure that there are no leaks. There were a couple of global leaks in there that people complained about. And then I'm going to do a benchmarking of all the critical pieces and sort of like speed them up a bit or give you a fast option. Because another complaint that I've seen from folks is, well, the way you're doing it is a lot slower than if I did it this way. But then I say, yes, but that function can be used this way and another way, and you can insert different arguments, and they all work. Whereas with your version, you've got to hand code it out every time. So anyway, SSK 2.0. Oh, and docs. There will officially be docs later this year. So for people who want to, actually learn how to use it instead of just puzzling through my code snippets. Another thing I'm doing this year is what I call just mechanics. I brought this up last year, but a little bit later this month, maybe early February, I'll be releasing a new series of tutorials and templates, which are called Just Mechanics. And what I do in them is I focus on specific things like one-touch inputs, or how do you make a one-way platform, etc., etc. So instead of doing entire games, it'll be focused on one specific thing that somebody's trying to solve. I feel like this will be a better approach because a lot of people, they don't want the whole solution for an entire game genre. They just want to know how to do a joystick, or they just want to know how to do a camera where it follows the player and everything else is moved on the screen, stuff like that. 26 games, not one game. Let me explain. One of the sad things for me is I've been doing this for a while now, and I only have, between the clients and my personal games, is like maybe 10 games out there. So I don't feel like that's enough output for as much time as I've spent with Corona. So what I want to do, and this is inspired by, I don't know if you know who Ketchup is. Do you know who the Ketchup? You'll know it as soon as I show you. Let me bring it up here.
I only know him because you introduced me to the concepts, but yeah,
So
the guy.
Ketchup is 2048.
Yeah.
Another one people are real familiar is Stick Hero. Make
Don't
them
touch the
jump,
spikes.
make them fall. Just all these real super simple mechanics games with real basic artwork. Don't touch the spikes, the one with a bird. So the guys at, I don't know if it's guys or gals, honestly, the guys at Ketchup, I'm just going to say this. In last year, they put out, I think it was, I have the notes here, darn it. They put out 33 games last year.
Wow.
And the way they did this was they settled upon a format. Was in some cases they copied somebody else's game. 2048 is a copy of what was it, three something or other. I can't remember the name of it, anyways. But 2048 got all the press. What they did was they chose simple artwork. Come on now. Simple layout for their interfaces. So all their interfaces have sort of like a common structure. There's a button to play the game. There's a button to buy an in-app purchase to turn off ads. There's a button for the rating, and they all have these buttons. And the other big thing they did was they partnered. So you would think, originally I thought they wrote all these games. They wrote like maybe a quarter of these games. The rest of these games, they partnered with somebody else. That person or persons came to them with the mechanic, and then they helped them package it up using their sort of like their brand, in a sense, to make everything homogeneous or recognizable to their growing audience. An interesting graph, just for those who are curious, is this is their release schedule for last year. And pretty much once they got rolling, it was they do a whole sequence where they're doing an app a week. Every once in a while they would do 2 apps. And what this doesn't show is in these weeks where there was no game, they were releasing a non-game app. I think they released 48 apps in total last year. So they pretty much released something every week.
And did you just go through and manually pick this information out?
Sir, say again, please.
Did you just manually go in and collect this information?
Yeah, I went through. I went and got this information from App Annie.
App Annie, okay.
Yeah. So, which is a great website. There's a few other ones like it. Different kinds of information where you can kind of, if you dig deep enough, you can start to pull out this information. So this is my inspiration for my goal of 26 games. Now the brilliance of what they've done, and what I'm going to do here is focus on minimalistic. I have put together a framework where I'm going to use the same framework with a slight tuning on the visuals so that they look different, like different colors, maybe a different shape, but they all have the same buttons, they all have an in-app purchase, they all have ads, and here's the key, all free games. And I just want to point out, I think you're going to see a lot of this year of this kind of minimalistic approach. Another company that just started doing this is General Adaptive and Apps, I don't know, PTY Limited, I don't know what that means. They did something that I think is brilliant. They released a game called AA, and then they released a bunch of them, FFUURR. It's just, you can see these are just made up. These are all the same game, modification on the mechanic. So same exact game, except the mechanics have been changed. So I don't know about you, but I have run into this problem where I do game development, and I'm like, I can't decide this mechanic or that mechanic. I like them both. Maybe I should make a mode. So then you think, I'll give all these buttons where people can choose to play different variants of the game. Messy. Much quicker, better to do one, release it, turn it over again, release the different mechanic, and that's what these guys did. And what they did that was smart was they released them all simultaneously. Okay, so I'm using a lot of my time here. So 26 games. Like I said, inspired by Ketchup and General Adaptive. One possibility here is, and I'm considering it. This is don't email me yet, people. I'm considering partnering. But if I do partner with people, they have to come to me with a completed game mechanic. It doesn't have to be a completed game, but the mechanic has to be completed and working with a complete example. But I have not decided whether I will be doing this yet. So please, again, do not email me quite yet. Let's see. This year I want to wean myself off of contracting gigs. Contracting is great, pays the bills, it can pay a lot of money, but for anybody who does it or has done it, they know that it's a lot of work and it takes something out of you. So I want to get off of it if I can, as much as possible. And finally, I want to get back on the road. Roaming Gamer LLC, which is my company, was designed around the concept, or created with the concept that I would actually be traveling and doing this stuff. And I have not been working and traveling for a couple of years now, and I really would like to do that again. So get my laptop, go someplace, spend part of my time working. That's it. Those are the goals.
I think that's an excellent goal, and I personally can getting back on the road resonates with me because I would like to get on the road. Sure. I have the same intrinsic desire to be mobile and to do what I do from anywhere. And for some reason, even though for the past 5 years I've been working from home, I don't go anywhere.
It's easier to work from home because I have a much more powerful workstation, big monitors, fixed desk. But you know what? There are so many things out there to see and do. Yeah. I don't want to be sitting at my desk all the time.
Yeah. I told my wife the other day. I said, I like my monitors, I like my microphones, I like my the things in my office, but my laptop and my cell phone. That's really all I need.
Mm-hmm. So it's been literally 3 years since I did any work while I was traveling.
Yeah. The blended mode, the blended between work and play, work and travel. It shouldn't be one or the other. At least in my view. It's good to have a base to come back to.
I would take a trip, like I'd go someplace for 2 weeks, and then I'd get up in the morning and work 2 or 3 or 4 hours, and then I'd take the rest of the day and go do whatever I wanted to do wherever I was at.
Yeah, and of course, I'm not an accountant, but I'm sure if you paired that with meeting with people and discussing things, you could write some of that off. So
absolutely.
Right. All right. Well, very cool. I'm interested to know why 26 games as opposed to 24 games.
52 weeks in a year, one every 2 weeks.
Oh, one every two. Okay, one every 2 weeks as opposed to 2 a month.
Yeah.
Give yourself exactly two every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm a 52-week calendar guy, or 53 depending on what year it is.
Okay. Well, cool. Well, we'll have to come back and monitor that as we go along, so we can keep it, kind of an accountability program.
Yeah, gotta keep me honest.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Brian, what about you? What are your goals?
Well, I've got very similar goals to what Ed has. First, I've been dying to get on the road and travel around and work from anywhere, and trying to shift to more distance learning focus so that I can teach online as well as have my apps and be able to publish from anywhere. I've also got a lot of games in queue to do development. I'm kind of taking the exact opposite approach that what Ed's taking, where he's going for the minimalistic. Everything that I'm working on is currently multiplayer, multi-user, multi-cloud-based computing. And so that's been my focus, is cloud computing. And what I'll be focusing very intensely on for the next couple of months is creating these cloud-based apps. Been playing a lot of cloud-based games like Clash of Clans, which we've talked about on previous episodes, and a few others, and that's been my focus. So hoping to get those out very quickly.
So you kind of want to go for uh, more of a substantial
Right.
instead of a.
I'm going for a smaller grouping, and it'll be interesting for Ed and I to compare our work. I know he's going to get a lot more apps out than what I'm able to do. I'm hoping to get 3 maybe this next year, and hopefully we'll both be very successful in both approaches.
Sure.
You know, they're just very different approaches. Both are completely valid in what we want to accomplish. So, but our goals are the same. We're just using different routes to get there.
I
Are
have
you
a
thinking? Are you thinking free games or paid games, or
In-app purchase
in-app
games.
purchase games?
Yeah.
Yeah.
More the freemium model.
Okay, so you're thinking that the monetization model for you will be consumable in-app purchases?
Yes, buying coins and chips or whatever is involved in for that particular game.
So as long as we both stay on track, by the end of the year, we should have good data for
Yes.
consumable in-app purchases versus advertising driven and in-app
Right.
purchase to turn off the advertising, which is what I'm doing, like a non-consumable in-app purchase.
Yes. So we should have some really good data by the end of the year if we're both able to stay on track.
Yeah, assuming we're able to, which is what I said.
Got to be able to pay the bills, but it's
Okay, good.
cool.
I think we've covered it then.
Well, that's interesting.
What
So
are you doing?
well, so my goals are very similar to both of you. Of course, like I said, I want to get on the road and go do some things. But just like Ed said, you know, all 2014 went by, and the number of games that I put out the door was pretty sad. So this year I want to focus on getting something out, and I was not thinking of 52 weeks in a year, but I was thinking of just the every 2 weeks, but I was thinking of at least 2 games a month and give myself some wiggle room. So I'm thinking 2 games a month, and for that to be kind of on a we call it like a category of games, like pick a particular style of game and then put out maybe 10 versions within that category.
Yeah.
That way you can
I love what Ed was saying about using different mechanics to drive the game.
Well,
I've had several games that way that I had. Well, there's 3 different ways we could handle this movement and different mechanics, and I think that's genius. And be able to put different games out, all using the same system, the same artwork, the same basic gameplay, but a different mechanic to go with that. I'm going to definitely go back and adapt some that way.
Well, I'm thinking even slightly a tweak to that is that the mechanic is exactly the same, but the artwork's different. So
Yeah.
so you're not reskinning in the sense of in that way, but if it's a matching game, then there's just different themes, and then that can appeal to different audiences. Maybe the same level of audience, but just different interests or whatever. So that kind of thing. Try to put out as many as possible. Some of them will definitely be just straight out purchased, because it's going to be, some of them are going to be in the children's category.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll just be a purchased app. There won't be any ads. There won't be any in-app purchase kind of stuff. It'll just be if you just buy the app. So by the end of the year, maybe we'll have some data on like whether in-app purchase versus straight up purchase versus advertising.
Sounds great.
That would be good. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wasn't quite sure I heard there. So are you going to be considering doing any reskinning this year, or not at all?
Yeah, I would consider doing some reskinning, and my definition of reskinning is buying a template that somebody else has coded and reskinning it and then publishing that, but also rebranding or changing up the theme on my existing stuff. So once I come up with a game,
because that would be good data to have too, is if doing a series of reskins or rebrands or slight variances, which is the reskin. It's all reskinning.
Right. Yeah. And I also do plan to explore to do that in a variety of different areas. So like Corona, there's a bunch of templates out there that you can acquire and reskin. There's a lot of iOS templates that are out there that you can acquire and reskin. So I'd like to do that in a couple of different camps and just see how things perform and stuff like that. And then I have my own original ideas that I want to create and not reskin, but theme, you know, and try to put out variations of them and see what I can do with that as well. So,
Well, I would consider theming reskinning.
You do or don't?
Changes the artwork or anything that changes the mechanics a little bit, but it's still basically the same game. I would consider that reskinning. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I've got the wrong definition here, but.
Yeah. And what I'm making the only distinction I'm making is whether or not it's something that you buy prefab that's a template and you're reskinning it in that way, or it's something that you've come up with and then you're still reskinning it, but
I would consider it reskinning if I wrote it and then redid it over and over, or if I bought it and redid it over and over.
Yeah, right. You're considering the same thing, right?
Yeah,
so
same thing.
I'm just trying to make that. Yeah, I am just trying to make this distinction because I do want to. Like some of the purpose of reskinning, I think the brilliance of reskinning, I think, in that when you buy a template and put it out there, is that is this the time, right? You're saving the development time, and then you're getting stuff out in the market as soon as possible. And from that, you can learn things from other people's code bases. What they do or what they don't do. But then ultimately, I want as much of that to be my own ideas and my own whatever as possible. So anyway, that's kind of my goals.
I would assume that Greg's goals. I'm just going to say Greg's goals for him. Hi, I'm Greg. My goals are to put out more storybooks and more Android and Amazon TV apps, and then we'll be covered. Yeah. Everything will be covered. We'll have covered all territories.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now I'm no longer Greg.
And
Greg's going to watch this and go, what?
What? Yeah, well, hopefully we'll get him on next time. We'll ask him what his goals are, and we'll see how closely that matches up. Maybe
you can play back that little snippet in a window for him right on the next show.
I know he's been doing a lot of tutorial type stuff, a lot of courseware kind of stuff as well.
I'm Greg, and I'm going to be doing more tutorials.
Well, that's good. Well, good, Greg. I'm glad for you. Yeah, we'll see how that matches up next week. I think we should do the accountability thing, and we should keep each other on track, and we should try to figure this out as we go. And then at the end of the year, we'll be able to report back to everybody what our progress was and what our results were, and good or bad, whatever comes out, and then we can all learn from that.
I think on accountability, we should each send our list to Charles and put our list in the show notes.
Yeah, I was actually going to let's put our list in the show notes, and I was actually going to suggest maybe we create a Facebook group,
something to track us,
and something where we could state our goals, and then not necessarily call it have a meeting, but check in every once a week or whatever, and kind of say where we're going and how things are going and where we're stuck and stuff like that, because it would be good to have someone keep you accountable, and it's also good to, if you're stuck on something, somebody can say, oh, well then here, just do this, go check this out, go look at this tutorial. What's that?
And what I need is more pressure.
Yeah, okay. Anything we can do to help. All right, guys. Well, I think that's it for today. If you have your goals or you want to share your goals with us, you can do that over at facebook.com/Corona Geek. We would love to hear what you have planned for this year.